Good afternoon. So let's start today's session. It's on ethics. Okay. So when compared to the previous session, today's session could be a little not so organized. Reason being, ethics has a lot of things to teach. So might be an attempt. Usually I do workshop like 8 hour, 10 hours workshop on ethics. But I want to give as much content as possible within the limited time we have. So if anything, you need more clarity in the PDF I'll be sharing with you. I'll embed those clarity. Let's focus on learning more things. And yeah, of course, I'll also try to give clarity to the extent possible wherever it is, right? On that lines, yeah. So this is the final sessions in this series of UPSC War Room. It ends with GS4 ethics. Okay. Today I'll start with this idea, especially those students who are writing mains. How to schedule both ethics preparation and also ethics tests. So I always suggest this to students, um, especially during mains phase of examination. Ethics should be daily dose. I'm not a big fan of reading ethics in, like this. Somewhere 10 days in the schedule, 4 days schedule, 10 into 4, 40 hours. I have revised whole of ethics. Likelihood of regaining those concepts or having them in the recent memory by the time you get to your exam point is very less. Are you understanding the point I am trying to say? Ethics needs constant practice. Ethics is something which demands daily attention from you. So ensure that your ethics preparation is like a daily dose. You prepare for it on a regular basis. When I'm saying daily dose, you need not give it 2 to 3 hours on a daily basis. Even 1 hour to 1 hour 15 minutes on a daily basis is good. Okay, so that way we can take up to this 40 hours will go up to 55 to 60 hours. Okay, and you are very well aware 250 marks for ethics paper, essay paper 250 marks, both of them equivalent to your optional subject. I started my war room sessions on essay by stating this fact. People give disproportionately less amount of time for their essay and ethics preparation. Please avoid that mistake. Give it necessary respect it deserves. Ethics is daily dose is what I am trying to suggest. Another important suggestion, especially if you are writing mains. Maybe you are somebody writing mains 2026, that's a different scenario. But if you are writing your ethics this year, don't overemphasize on daily answer writing. Okay. See, daily answer writing is for beginners, or daily answer writing is for those those who are writing mains 2027. As such, I'm not a big fan of daily answer writing because, see, you are hardly 70 to 75 days short of your examination, and in the exam hall you are supposed to write in 2 hour 55 minutes. 5 minutes gone for your you know filling of what do you call OMR sheets, all these things, washroom, setting your table, reading question paper. So effectively you have only 2 hour 55 minutes to write the test, and which means you have time and space constraint, isn't it? Within the limited space you have to write, isn't it? Especially in ethics now, it's not just about time management, it's also about space management. Slightly deviating from the core topic I'm talking, but it's important because I'm worried I may forget later not talking about it. Time management, you all know. Space management means, especially in case studies, people do not know how much to prioritize the space. This is a very common mistake students commit. Prioritize the space well. Let's say, see which part of the question demands how much space. There is this tendency to disproportionately allocate the space needed. In essay context, we have specifically mentioned this term prioritization of dimensions. Fine. Same mistake you should not commit in your ethics also, especially case studies. Give each question the deserving space only. Don't overdo or don't underplay it, right? That's one point I want to highlight. Now coming back, within the limited time and within the limited space, you have to write your answers. So that comes only with 3 hours practice. So don't pamper yourself by just doing daily answer writing, or no. If you are writing mains, be ruthless, be sincere. You have to do hard things. Only hard things will get you good results. 3 hours test. Coming to another very, very important thing. How many tests? How many tests? Okay. How many tests according to me? Every single Wednesday hereafter, every single Wednesday hereafter should end with an ethics test. Every single Wednesday should end with an ethics test. Change your Wednesday, call it ethics day. And when I am saying end of the day, why end of the day? Why not in the beginning of the day? If you have written mains previously once, it's very easy for you to understand. If you have not written mains or you're writing mains for the first time, talk to your senior, they'll tell you your state of mind. Especially on Fridays, you will have essay. On Saturdays morning you will write GS1, afternoon you will write GS2, and on Sunday you have GS3 in the morning and GS4, which means 3 hours. Very next day 6 hours. It's not small thing, it's physically and mentally very taxing. Okay, for any reason this night sleep is not as per our expectation, if you are not recovering well, the state of mind in this itself also sometimes get chaotic. The reason why people often go score less in GS3, and by the time of GS4, there will be further depletion of your mental energies. Focus would be lesser, clarity would be lesser. You understood my point? I'm not trying to create a panicky kind of situation, but this is a reality which you should be aware. And majority of the aspirants never practice 6 hours. Students writing mains, they pamper themselves so very well that they write only 3 hours tests. Such a blunder it is. In real time exam scenario, you have to write 3 days of 6 hours tests, 3 days of 6 hours test, but in reality hardly 5 or 6 times students do this 6 hours test practice. Students writing mains, so basic, so fundamental. I often tell this to every student who meet me in person. There is one student of mine, he is like one of our first batches. He is right now IPS in Andhra Pradesh, I believe he is DCP Visakhapatnam. I remember telling me he wrote 3 hours tests in a day. 3 hours tests in a day, 3 times. Of course, I have to believe in him, and I'm sure he is one such guy who would do it also, because he got it in third attempt itself. He doesn't have any IIT, NIT background. He comes from a very humble, simple background, like a normal engineering college. He should have done these kind of things for him to get such a good rank. I believe I still have his answer copies. It's 2019-20 in Telegram. I'll check once. But he did this hard work. Okay, he did this hard work. 3 hours tests, 3 times a day. Done. IPS Andhra cadre. That's a good thing to do, right? Like, and this is the kind of hard work you all should do, especially when it comes to answer writing. Whereas, as I've been continuously saying in this entire war room sessions, we would love to listen classes, we would love to take notes, we would love to. This is easy stuff, so we do not want to do hard things. But trust me, it is only the hard things that are going to help you in getting good results, right? I hope I made my point. Usually I do this at the end of the session, as this is the last session of war room. I thought I'll start with this part. Every Wednesday one ethics test. Right now I think we have 9 or 10 Wednesdays from now. So ensure that every Wednesday you end with an ethics test, because why? At the end of the day, as I already said, in real examination also, when you are writing your ethics test, you are physically and mentally drained. So simulate a similar model wherein here also you practice the test when you do not have your fullest energies. So that will not be a new scenario for you when you are actually writing the test on the day of Sunday, right? So yes, this is what we do regularly every day. Then we will go to the next idea. How to take notes, or yeah, regarding notes. Here, no doubt, like I always say, this is the fifth session. I'm saying the same thing. You should always start with your base notes. Your base notes is nothing but your class notes. It might not be the best in the market. It might be an average one, below average one. It might be taught by a faculty who does not have so much fanciful credentials. Still, for me, base notes is always the best notes and the good notes to start with. Then, on top of that, let's say previous year, if you have attended any mentoring course and if you have written any answers or if you have practiced any PYQs, yes, that will be a very good source. Next good source. Then after that, what is other good source? Is the present year model answers. Present year you are writing tests, those model answers will also be part of your notes, will also be part of your reading material. Okay. Then of course standard books for reference. Standard books for reference. And what good thing about ethics is you often pick so many things from your current affairs also. So if you have this habit of taking notes from current affairs, or habit of taking notes of your current affairs magazine, or writing it there itself, identifying ethics topic, that also should your ethics notes. Again, I already said previously in 2 sessions, I'll repeat the same thing again. Do not start afresh. Okay, just because someone gives you some new material, fanciful material, you should not throw away all the hard work you have already done and start afresh. Yes, after doing all this thoroughly, if you get time to do this, definitely do this. Nobody will stop you from getting value addition. Nobody will stop you from gaining or getting more content. You should do it, not at the expense of ignoring the hard work which you have already done. Okay, so this is about reading material. Sorry, it's not about notes, it's about reading material, how to, where you should read from. Then we will get to the next important segment for today. Case studies practice we will see simultaneously. We will see how can we identify some most important themes in case studies and how to take notes for those case studies. Yeah. So if you have carefully monitored and if you have carefully observed last 10 years case studies, there are hardly 11 themes. They are repeatedly giving those 11 themes, like human resources and workplace culture. One of the favorite theme is workplace culture. They never get bored because this is a test of your leadership skills, right? So they're asking always questions on workplace culture. So be thoroughly prepared on all keywords related to it, workplace related keywords. Another theme which got repeated not less than 3 times: sexual harassment at workplace. This again related to workplace, sexual harassment and patriarchy at workplace. Sometimes sexist remarks, it need not be sexual harassment, but sexist remarks, sexual harassment and patriarchy manifestation at the workplace. This is also one theme which was repeatedly asked to test your gender sensitivity. Then another commonly repeated theme, this you would have observed, is related to resources, especially resources where criminal political nexus will be there, and this criminal political nexus will be swindling of resources, nothing but corruption, or illegally they are taking away resources, and as a civil servant what you would be doing. This theme also was repeated good many times. This theme also repeated good many times. Then again, another most commonly repeated theme, this you must be already aware, even if you are a very beginner, development versus environment. This is one of the favorite theme of UPSC. They never get tired of asking this development versus environment theme. Be thoroughly prepared for this. Good many keywords are already available for this development versus environment theme. So prepare thoroughly for this development versus environment theme. Then another theme is public health crisis. Public health crisis, and as a civil servant, how do you handle, like they'll give a case scenario, then how to handle and what kind of ethical issues, what kind of ethical dilemmas would arise in handling public health crisis is repeated not less than twice. Another common theme which is reported is bioethics. Bioethics, like any technology, biotechnology, and whether we should bring this technology or not, like we discussed in yesterday's class. Never say no to technology. No civilized society ever progressed by saying no to technology. What we should do is minimize the negative collaterals, maximize the positive collaterals, like we discussed in yesterday's class. So that is one often asked or repeated case study. Then this case study, this was asked only once, but I am foreseeing it might come again this year. uh, uh, Possibility is there. Migrants, illegal migrants, illegal migrants, and especially at the borders. This is just to test your understanding on humanism versus nationalism. So what should prevail, what should stand first? If they would like to test on those aspects, they asked once, but there is a possibility that this might appear again. This is one thing they are asking repeatedly. There is a possibility that it might appear again because there are many case studies that happened again in the last 1 year. Social media, digital ethics. Social media, it is like, as a civil servant, what should be your etiquettes in social media could be one case study. Other case study, your personal conduct on social media can be one case study, or the way you handle crisis unfolding in social media. The way you handle crisis unfolding in social media is other possibility. That will test your knowledge about digital ethics or how you handle digital ethics. Two are very, very important themes. Please prepare thoroughly on those two themes also. Then another favorite theme they never get bored of asking is public procurement, contract. Here they never get bored of asking question on this public procurement. Though we all know that one of the most important theme that gets repeatedly tested here is conflict of interest. Still they never get bored of asking this. So prepare more thoroughly on this because it's a very often repeated theme. Ensure that the ethical jargon you have at your disposal or the ethical content you have at disposal for this topic, let it not be superficial. The same old boring conflict of interest, don't stop there, are recusal. These are all repeatedly written by aspirants already. Go one level deeper. Try to study international best practices or international ethics, what international ethics is saying about public procurement. Go one level deeper, analyze deeper, and try to study little more. It will also help you in writing other theory questions also. So yes, this public procurement or contracts is one often repeated theme. Okay. Then, yeah, largely this only. Resources, already we mentioned. Disasters, yeah. How do you handle disasters? You can write it here also. Health crisis is a disaster, or other disasters. How do you act in the disaster situation? It's a crisis situation, right? So how do you respond to crisis situation, or how to handle crisis situation? This particular case studies have a scope to show many of your virtues, So prepare well for that aspect also. Then another very routine they'll ask is professional life versus personal life. Here they always want to test you. Does a civil servant have a personal life? Or he should not exercise, or he should not create too many boundaries between personal life and professional life when it comes to call on nation's duty, these kind of things. It depends on the case study they ask, but prepare thoroughly. Yes, there might be some situation, there might be some case studies wherein we have to draw lines between personal life and professional life, but also there are some situations in which as a civil servant you have this moral responsibility to keep aside your personal responsibilities, to keep aside your personal duties, and dedicate yourself to the service of the nation, where professional life would prevail. Okay, what I have given to you over the last 10 minutes is a very superficial way of identification, but what I suggest to you is, after going back home, try to understand the intent of each of this. Okay, so each of this case study requires time. Each of this topic you have to spend some time. You have to spend some time on workplace culture, gather keywords, and see how do you arrive at a judgment. Like sexual harassment keywords, how do you arrive at a judgment? Likewise, okay, each of them needs a dedicated amount of work. In fact, your preparation is not about passively reading standard books. Your real preparation is about identifying these themes. This is the real preparation, specifically preparing for these themes. As you are preparing for these themes, as the knowledge deepens on these themes, that will help you to write better case studies. 130 marks is for case studies. The problem is, in most of the coaching centers, while they teach ethics, they spend hardly 6 to 8 hours or less than that on case studies. They give you a lot of content, no doubt about it, because the syllabus is aligned in that way, in such a way that it encourages us to teach a lot than to practice things through case studies. So that is the reason every student struggle to write case study. That is the reason the next thing I am going to address is case study framework or case study format. Okay, you might be a senior aspirant, but still pay attention to it. Framework to a case study. It's not that you have to follow the exact framework. This is one widely accepted framework which everyone does. Let's say you read a case study. Let's say this case study is again a simple case study, like sexual harassment at workplace or workplace issues between senior junior. I would always suggest to introduce. Always write an introduction. Yes, I know they are giving you 3 questions, 4 questions, sometimes 5 questions. Sometimes when they get mad, they give 6 questions also under each case study. Let it be. You always introduce it. And as you introduce it, best way to introduce any case study is identify the core issue. Many a times, if you identify the core issue of the case study, that itself will set a beautiful tone for your case study. But it is a double-edged sword. If you end up identifying wrong theme, then it might definitely affect your, you may write excellent content beneath that, but if you identify the core issue wrong, it could be a bit problematic. But if you practice well, I don't think that problem would occur. So it's all about good practice. Then after identifying the core issue, second thing I would suggest students, always write stakeholders. Students discuss and debate a lot on this. Should we write stakeholders? Should we not? Nothing wrong in writing. Okay. It would hardly take space. It would take less than 1/5 page. It will give clarity for you, if not for examiner or evaluator. As you are writing the case study, identifying the stakeholders is for your benefit only. Not everything you have to do for examiner's benefit. Sometimes that little bit of work will help you to quickly, frame ideas in your mind. I would sincerely suggest always write stakeholders. Don't debate much on it, whether I should write, whether I should not write. Write it, nothing to lose. It gives clarity for you also. But one suggestion, do not waste so much space for it. This is what is space management. If you waste so much space for stakeholders itself, then in the end, when you want to write the original content, suddenly you will understand that, oh, I don't have much space to write, and you end up cramming cramming the content at the end. That's poor space management. Not correct. Please ensure that stakeholders are not overdone. Next. Most of the questions case study will have this. Ethical issues involved. Sometimes they ask ethical dilemmas. And this is where 70% of the students go wrong. Students think ethical issues and ethical dilemmas are same. Definitely not. Simple and commonsensical, right? Ethical issue is, let's say, stakeholder is performing something, or stakeholder has already performed something, or the issue itself has some ethical aspect to be discussed. That is an ethical issue. What is an ethical dilemma? Dilemma is an English word only, right? Di means two. There are two values or ethics, whatever, which are conflicting with each other, and both of them have validity. And it's all about resolving the dilemma. Resolving the dilemma means choosing one among both, or at least trying to find a middle way out. It's that simple. I really don't understand. Often students get confused between ethical issue and ethical dilemma. They put the heading as ethical dilemma, they write ethical issues. They write ethical issues as heading, they end up writing ethical dilemma. Reason because you don't practice it enough. And no doubt students often struggle in generating ethical dilemma. Reason being lack of practice only. It's definitely not difficult. It's only sheer lack of practice. Okay. It's not about reading deontological ethics, utilitarian ethics, virtue ethics, Rawlsian ethics, that ethics, this ethics, so much unnecessary content which otherwise may not be of any help in writing your case study. I'm not discouraging that you should not do it, but this is the real problem you would face while writing a case study, generating ethical dilemma. Work straight away on that ethical dilemmas. How do I generate ethical dilemma? How do I consciously, quickly, within the time-bound manner, identify the ethical dilemma, bring it onto the paper? This is a genuine problem faced by majority of the aspirants. Sometimes they know that they have to write ethical dilemma, but they could not write ethical dilemma. They end up writing ethical issues just to fill the paper. Examiners are not so dumb to differentiate between what is an ethical dilemma and ethical issue. They'll definitely penalize you. There is no second thought on that, please. Now, after identifying ethical issues, then what will happen after identifying the ethical issues? Sometimes, after identifying the ethical issues, what you should do? You should try to write options which are available for you to act upon. Options available for you to act upon. I'll just suggest one add-on point to you. Try to implement it. It will really work. Just now we discussed about ethical issues, right? Try to use this simple format. This simple format can enhance the visibility of your answers and probably can help you getting that extra 1 mark. As you are writing ethical issue, you would write ethical issues, right? First, second, third, fourth ethical issue. What I would suggest now, ethical issue, and right here, value upheld or value compromised, isn't it? In every ethical issue, some value would have been upheld, some value would have been compromised. So if you put that effort after you write this ethical issue, then you say this particular value here procedural fairness is upheld, or here equanimity is maintained, or here let's say courage is upheld, or this shows resilience of the moral agent. This is what examiner wants, right? Ethical jargon. He want to see ethical jargon and your understanding of the ethical jargon, right? Make life easy for examiner always, right? Then options available. So your next job is to generate options. Thanks to UPSC, most of the time UPSC itself is generating the options for you. It's giving 3 options and it is asking you to evaluate, or sometimes it is asking, at least for half a question, they are asking you to generate options. This is where most of the students falter. Generate options. When it asks you to generate options, you know what most of the students do? They will say they'll write 2 extremes and 1 balancing statement. That is a very lazy way of generating the options. It is true most of the times, that could not most of the times, sometimes I know I'm sounding a bit theoretical because yeah, paucity of time is making me think like this, is making me talk like this, but still someone, if you have written case study even for once, you would be understanding what I'm trying to say, or after the session if you practice this you will get to know what I'm trying to say. It's not that difficult. When you are asked to generate options, let's say what would you do? People would say, I'll not do anything, I'll do everything, or I'll do something in between. This is a constant, constantly we see in all the case studies. So boring. And what effort you are putting? You got my point. You should create little bit of tension, right? Should create the tension. They should try to generate, little more options. Okay. Let's see if time permits. We will try to. No, for options you will evaluate the options. What they will do is, first they'll ask you to generate options and later they'll ask you to evaluate the option, right? What is evaluation? When we evaluate your copy, what we say, what are the good things in your answers, what are the bad things or terrible things in your answers, how you should improve your answers is generally what we suggest, right? Same thing. When you are asked to evaluate the option, you generate the option and see the merit, demerit of the options. So be careful while you are generating options. I agree, sometimes you get only these 3 points, extremes and midway, but some case studies also give you scope for nuances. Some case study also give you scope for nuances wherein you can generate more number of options, wherein you can generate more number of options. Okay, then after generating options, what is the next thing you are supposed to do? Decision. You can write, sometimes you don't have, you can write extremes only, but some case studies you have scope for generating more options just other than extremes and balancing. You can write them. I'm not discouraging you that you should not write. Put little more effort, try to generate more options by adding nuances. That's the only point I'm trying to say. Then after identifying options, sometimes you also are expected to evaluate the options. Then what is the next step? Decision making. Here one thing which always confuses me is UPSC always expects us to write ethical dilemmas along with ethical issues or after ethical issues. Think carefully. When would I have a dilemma? My dilemma is not just in analyzing things. My dilemma is when I actually act, isn't it? Dilemma is not just about identifying it, right? Dilemma also comes when you actually act on it. But somehow UPSC is always asking questions. In the very first question itself, identify the ethical dilemmas. In fact, ethical dilemmas also will occur when you are acting on something, means when you are taking decision. Hope you're understanding the point I am trying to say. So sometimes when such a scope exists, you write ethical dilemmas before decision making. So you tell the examiner, it's a very commonsensical way of thinking, isn't it? When you act also, you will have some dilemmas. So mention that these are the ethical dilemmas I am facing before taking a decision, then getting into decision. Decision making is nothing but the decision you are taking. Here what I suggest, one common format, don't write single line decisions. This is why I'll do this. No, generate points as you are taking decisions. Your decision will not be single decision, right? It's a group of aspects, and always for all the decisions you are taking, write an ethical justification. Please don't forget this. Write an ethical justification for your decision. Write an ethical justification for your decision. Okay, that will further enhance the jargon quality of your case study. Not just about jargon quality, that will help examiner understand that he has good repertoire of ethical knowledge, ethical jargon which he is able to apply. I am taking this decision, so for this decision, this is the ethical basis. I am taking this decision and this shows my courage of conviction. I am taking this decision and this shows my, what do you call, any other aspect. This shows my even-mindedness or fair-mindedness, something like that. Every decision of you will have an underlying ethical basis or an underlying ethical justification. That is one thing. Another way of arriving at a decision, some questions, yes, there will be options, but even after options in some questions, you can adopt this algorithmic approach. Let's say there is one case study, if you remember, a group of women trying to attack police who are, yes, it's a law and order thing. Group of women are attacking police because police have taken into custody some Naxalites. Police have taken into custody Naxalites, but Naxalites enjoy sympathy among the women. So women are attacking the police, but police should arrest these Naxalites and take them away because they are high profile and they are notorious. These kind of case studies are very common. So the point I am trying to say, even if you are not aware of this case study, you can always have this graded approach or algorithmic approach. Graded or algorithmic approach. So many times what we need not jump to decision. We will say, first I'll try to take this action. This action has possibly will resolve the issue. Then you need not act anymore. If it resolves the issue, fine. If it is not resolve the issue, then I'll take it to the next level. Here I'll try to do something. Here also I am not able to resolve the issue. Then I'll take it to the next level. Then after this also I am not able to resolve the issue. Then final level. Then I have to do something about it. You got my point? So you always can have this simple algorithmic approach while arriving at a decision. So your decision need not be extreme every time. Okay, you can, this is how actually we do in our day-to-day life also. I don't know why students, because what we coaching centers teach templates. You also consume templates and try to write your ethics answers without being, without applying presence of mind or without, being that commonsensical aspect. But in reality, in your real life also, what you will do is you always follow this graded response only. First you will try this. If this will not work, then you will go for the next. That also will not work, then you will go for the next. That also will not work. Most of the decisions we take in our life, in our real life, we take them in a graded way, algorithmic way. This is actually not difficult to understand. Actually very commonsensical thing, but often students ignore applying them in the ethics case studies. Okay, so this is the, in most of the case studies there is a scope to, when you are arriving at a decision, you can let's say it is, the problem is not resolving here, means then you should take it to the next level. Let's say consult senior. Okay, first you will try to take decision on your own, still the problem is not getting resolved. Then what you will do, you will try to consult your senior. After consulting the senior also you did not get a reply. Then what? Then you will try to, you will say that I'll try to put it on the paper and I'll try to send report to the head of the department. There also you are not getting a response. Then what you will try to do, you will as a last resort, I have to uphold the justice, then I may go for public disclosure or I may go to whistleblowing. So directly you should not do whistleblowing, because this is, you are part of a system. Moral agent, generally moral agents are civil servants, so you are a part of a system. Directly you cannot do whistle blowing. So like this, an algorithm approach is not necessarily for civil servants, it's for anyone. Somebody working in a corporate, somebody taking decision in the personal life, anywhere and everywhere this algorithmic response is valid. Okay, so take 2 minutes more time and let's quickly see this. I might have sounded a bit theoretical. I wish I have, if time permits, we'll also take one case study and see if it's possible to practice this way. Always write introduction. Don't worry much. Write stakeholders. Never do this mistake of getting confused between ethical issues and ethical dilemmas. Practice for them separately. Okay? It might take time, but you have to do it. Generate options. If they are only giving options, that's fine. But if they are asked to generate options, do little bit more serious work. Okay? Don't just confine yourself to extreme statements and one balancing statements. I'll do this, I'll not do that, I'll do something in between is the common template, boring template we see, and definitely that may not always get us good scores. Then this another suggestion I'm giving, as you are writing your ethics case studies, as you are writing ethical issues, always back it up with which value is upheld or which value is getting compromised because of this particular ethical issue. Then yes, as you are arriving at a decision making is also very, very important. As you are taking the decision, always tell what is the ethical justification for the decision you have taken. This part I'll address again with another template. And sometimes how to arrive at a decision also, in some question they ask you. So you will arrive at your decision in a proper algorithmic way. First I will try this. If it doesn't work, second level, graded level, then third level this, fourth level this. Understood my point? Let's say some people are protesting that one factory is releasing pollutants. So how do you respond? Immediately you will close down the factory? No, you will not close down the factory. First you will try to placate the protesters and you will try to issue warning to the factory. If that works, then if factory is not responding to your, then second level you will complain, you will escalate it to your seniors and you will complain on the factory. After that they respond, done, dusted, you need not act upon. So they are still not responding to it. Then next level, what you can what do you call, you can even recommend for closure of the factory or like this. Even then it's not working, then as a civil servant what you have options you are left with, you can also go for whistleblowing or public disclosure. So the point is very simple, take things in a graded way, algorithmic way. Do not go for the highest reaction in the very first instance. Okay, sometimes sometimes not acting also is an action, isn't it? Sometimes no action also is an action. Sometimes without doing anything also issue might possibly get resolved. That also is an action. Just giving it time might resolve some issues. So that also could be one of the action. So all this common sense you have to apply. Don't try to mug up so much content. Don't try to, ethics is purely common sense, because I remember in 2023, I believe there is one guy, Srinivaslu, he is IPS Odisha cadre. He did not write ethics with me, but that year he got 133 in ethics. So he has shown me his copies. I have seen that his copies. He is my interview guidance student. There is not even one fancy word. You will be surprised, he did not even use deontological ethics, utilitarian, that most of the students write it in every answer. I don't know why they write it. Same utilitarian ethics, deontological ethics in all the answers. Force feeding or forcefully including jargon when they are not sure of what they write or what they should write. Nothing, no one. It's a simple common sense. In my personal life, in my professional life, I had a similar kind of scenario. Just interacting with the examiner in a commonsensical way, simple plain language, using some basic, very basic ethical jargon with good examples, simple language. So for ethics that will work, not fancy stuff or fancy diagrams or no. It's about connect. It's about connect. It's telling examiner that I'm already living my life by knowing all these ethical principles. I have already come across in my life so many ethical dilemmas or so many ethical issues, and I try to resolve them through my personal knowledge, through my personal conviction, personal value system. This will be highly appreciated. Don't shy out from sharing about yourself, your references. Again, don't project yourself like I'm the embodiment of modern day law drama, something like that. That's a bit of overdoing. But in a very sensible way, you can project it, and you can what do you call, mention all these aspects as you are writing your answers. Got it? Yes. So ethical issues. Ethical dilemma is actually a dilemma. In a case, let's say I'll tell you very simple. I have an example also. Ethical issue is like a moral concern involved in the case. It could be violation, risk, value concern, or governance concern. Let's take this. I'll take one case study. Let's take a toxic boss in the office. Toxic boss in the office. And this toxic boss in the office is harassing you on a regular basis. What are the ethical issues? Very simple. Ethical issues is simple. First, his arrogance is the ethical issue. His arrogance is the ethical issue. Then his lack of decency is the ethical issue. Then you not able to handle over your emotions is another ethical issue. Okay? You should learn how to, or you lack of or inability to muster courage to complain on him is an ethical issue. Your friend asking you to shut up or don't make an issue out of it is an ethical issue. Means even your friend does not have courage of conviction. Then you not complaining on him because you and he have done one previously some illegal or immoral act, so you are tolerating him because both of you are part of something. That shows again lack of your moral integrity. Like this, these are all ethical issues. Ethical dilemma is this. Let's say this is a toxic boss, and this toxic boss is extremely talented, and your company is about to close a project in 1 month. If this project is closed, it will benefit hundreds of employees of your office. So at this point, if you raise your voice and complain against him, it might completely or drastically impact the outcome of the project, which in turn can impact the livelihood of hundreds of. It's an ethical dilemma now. That you should present as livelihood of many people is also your responsibility. This is your personal. This is so personal. You can tolerate for few more days for a greater good. X versus Y. This is a dilemma. Yeah. Dilemma is some value comparing with other value. So what value you should choose depends on the situation or scenario again. Okay. So that is about ethical dilemmas. Then yeah, just I'll come to that. You'll get that clarity. Yes. See, in each case, like in each of the case study, you may have to apply them. Okay. In some case studies, they'll ask you, you only generate the options. You generate the options means you can generate these options, and in some case studies, they'll not ask you to generate option. They'll ask you what decision you will take. What is the decision you will take? Then you can use this. This is the decision I'll take, and this is the ethical justification. In some questions, you can use I would take a decision like this in an algorithmic approach. While you are writing this algorithmic approach also, at every no you can tell with ethical aspect is getting compromised. With you got my point. So everywhere it's about usage of ethical jargon. Okay, let's write one more this thing. Haha. Ekada. Values upheld, values, these are all values compromised, right? You will explain the scenario and show that which is the value that got compromised. Humility. Your boss is supposed to be humble, but he is arrogant, so that got compromised. Lack of decency means a dignified behavior in the office, a courteous behavior, an affable behavior, or maintaining a cordial environment in office is very important. But this guy's behavior, is lack of all this. He is indecent, like that. Emotional turmoil means you responding excessively to this, or responding in a disproportionate manner on this, to the extent that you are spoiling your mental peace. So what value got compromised? Your emotional resilience. Emotional resilience within emotional intelligence. Let's a little more specific. So let's say these are all values compromised or values upheld. Sometimes values are upheld, sometimes values are compromised, as you are discussing an ethical issue. Okay, yes. Just write one simple framework for ethics case study. These are all different frameworks. It's not that you have to use only one or two. Based on the necessity, if you are aware of this, you can use any of it. Right. One, just assume this case study in your mind as you are writing this framework. Cutting down trees for widening the road. Let's assume this is the case study. Cutting down trees. Why these trees are cut down? Let's say for road widening. Is this an ethical issue? Yeah, definitely these are the type of case studies they give. They just add more masala to it and just create more layers. Now what we are trying to do is, let's not get into it. Let's simply understand some frameworks. First, what are the ethical issues? So can we identify ethical issues in this? Yes. Apart from introduction, stakeholders. Then after ethical issues, this is nothing but problem identification. Second, stakeholders, facts, values. Second step is identifying the stakeholders, identifying the facts of the case, identifying the values that got compromised. Here, the first heading I mentioned, what are the ethical issues involved, is a good introduction. I told, right? Identify the core issue. The core issue, if you identify in the beginning itself, here core issue identification is very easy, right? Development versus environment. Then second step, who are all the stakeholders? Some also identify following are the facts involved. They'll put that heading in the case study. Following are the facts involved. You can write it, nothing wrong. Then of course, ethical issues or ethical values. Then after that, third, applying of guiding principles. Third step is applying guiding principles. Applying guiding principle for what? Taking a decision, isn't it? For taking a decision, you can apply these guiding principles. So as you are writing your case study, sometimes you can show that this is nothing but ethical justification, or sometimes the case study would be simply like applying guiding principles. What guiding principles you can apply? Let's say, what would be the consequences of action or inaction? This is another framework. Or rights, duties, virtues, relationship. Rights, duties, virtues, relationships. This is nothing but Kantian ethics, teleological ethics, virtue ethics, and just examining the relationship. This is one simple framework. Okay, that particular scenario. So what will be the consequences of allowing? Okay, what is your right as a moral agent, or what are your duties as a moral agent, or is anyone's rights getting compromised because of this action, or allowing this action or disallowing this action? What are the virtues of you that will be tested in acting on this? What are, like, at the moral agent level, what are the relationships with the different stakeholders that are involved in arriving at this decision? This is one more framework. Then after applying grading principles, what will happen? uh, Generating, evaluating, taking actions. Okay, then you will generate some options by applying that. Then again you have to evaluate those. Okay, you generate some actions, you have to evaluate them once again, and you can finally take an action. This is one more framework. I'm not trying to confuse you. You can use any of these framework as per the utility. It's not that you have to use only one framework. This is one simple framework. Okay, then in this framework, the fifth thing is reflect upon. Reflecting is nothing but, so you have acted now. Sometimes what you have acted would solve the problem only in the, as an immediate measure, or solve the problem only as a medium term. So sometimes as a moral agent, you should take a decision which should solve the problem permanently, or you should look for permanent solutions. That is nothing but reflecting upon. This is one simple framework when compared to the previous frameworks, which are slightly, what do you call, slightly difficult to apply. This is one simple framework. When you are running short of time, let's say you have to write a case study in 5 minutes, 7 minutes, last minute applying of these things you can do. Okay, and for simple case studies. Yeah, this also I think you already know this, but I'll just add to this. Okay, applying guiding principles is looking for the consequences, rights and duties, virtues, relationship. Sometimes as you are trying to analyze the case study, you also have to see if any action is violating the law, is violating the constitutional morality, any of your action, and violating your professional ethics or violating your professional integrity, then what kind of impact it will have on your individual conscience, these things also, and also your cultural code and your customs. Let's say as a moral agent, you might be taking some action. So the action which you are taking as a moral agent, you should reflect upon, or you should examine through these lens also, whether the action I am taking, is that also legal? It might be ethical, but it also should be legal. It might be ethical, but it also should be in line with constitutionality. Sometimes it might be ethical, but it's not legal. What you should do then? Many such scenarios also arise. Then you should try to resolve the legal part of it. How? By documenting it, like that. In such case studies also we get off on it. Then whether it is in line with your professional ethics, whether it is in line with your individual conscience. Okay, individual conscience need not be the same as the ethics, right? Ethics is universal. Individual conscience or morals are more relativistic. And you also should always examine whether the action you take, is it violating any cultural code or any culture, any customs. To your action, what kind of impact it may have on the cultural code. Okay, so like this, your action should be, your decision should also be, what do you call, scrutinized through this framework. Okay, so what you should do is, because if I had explained all these with case studies, This would have made much more sense. That's why I often do workshops. Still, whatever I am talking definitely would make sense if you go back after the home, take these frameworks and actually analyze them with some case studies. That way, this session will be more helpful to you. Okay. I usually what I do is I take a case study and I try to apply all of these frameworks and try to show how this will work, this will not work. But because of, I want to cover more number of things in this session. So I'm just introducing you guys to various framework. So you take any case study, current year's case study, previous year's case study, and try to do this little bit of homework. Okay. Let's write one more framework, very, very common framework. How a civil servant can persuade an action for social change. How a civil servant, you are a civil servant and you are supposed to persuade people to do something. This can bring a positive social change. It's about persuasion technique. Okay, persuasion technique. Let's see this. Our understanding? Every year at least one question will be there on this persuasion technique. And common answer students write is awareness generation. Nothing beyond awareness generation. Okay. No, your answer should be much more holistic and it should combine various elements. Only then you can bring a meaningful social change. Write down first. Social proof is the first way to persuade people. Social proof. Social proof. Let's say your district has less child sex ratio and you want to persuade people to go for girl children, and you also know that there are some instances of female feticide in your district. One is social proof. How social proof? Simple. You can start a selfie campaign. Let's say if anybody is posing a selfie with daughter, something like that, you will get financial incentive. Create a social proof. If you create a social proof, then people will be persuaded to do this action. Then defaults. Defaults. Create defaults. Default is one sure way of persuading people to action. There is a lot of public urination in your town. Every 500 meter, you construct a toilet. Then people are left with no option. They can't go for public urination. If they still do it, of course, you have laws to take care. The point I'm trying to say, default means don't even create an alternative for people to, to slip through the cracks. Okay. So default is one way of bringing a meaningful social change. Okay. Then scarcity. Scarcity is one way of. Scarcity is nothing but creating that fear of loss. Isn't it? Telangana police is doing that well, right? Everywhere they have put images. Your daughter is waiting for you. Go back home. You are the only one for your family. You are the only father for your daughter. These kind of things is, can probably persuade people to action. Reciprocity. Reciprocity is one way of bringing social change. Reciprocity means small giveaways, so people will respond back. Let's say somebody does good action in your in your jurisdiction. Immediately call them and give them some cash award, 100 rupees. Now this is a moral pressure on them. Oh, my DM has invited me and he has given me this. Now this guy will act as your ambassador. You understood? So reciprocity. People will always want to return the favor, if possible in a big way. So do that little acts of kindness, little appreciation, little incentives for people to act upon. So people will change in a big way. Okay. Let's say if someone you want to persuade to quit smoking, you give them a small gift, 2 times, 3 times, then give them something. So they might be persuaded to change. You got my point? Small reciprocity. Then attention. Okay. Attention. So if you really want to persuade people to act, create that positive attention. People should be constantly seeing that. Okay. It should be prominent and it should be always visible everywhere. Only then people will be persuaded to action. Let's say if I want you to join my program, I should put posters from Lower Tank Bund to Hindu Mahavidyalaya. 200 posters, okay, 100 ranks below 100, and I should put these claims. Then I'm getting your attention, isn't it? So it seems, sir, is if I go to sir, I'll get IAS, IPS, whatnot. 100 ranks below 100, then you have no other option. He has all the ranks. You are persuaded to act upon this, right? Like that. So that is attention. Then messenger is very, very important. See, sometimes than the message, messenger is important. You got my point? In childhood, let's say when your mother or grandmother, they are narrating the story, you would want to listen to the same story again and again. It's not that you might be bored with the message, but what you like is the messenger. Sometimes than the kathakar is important. Someone who narrates is important. Why people love to listen to Bhagavad Gita? It's because who is the narrator? God himself is the narrator, right? So messenger is important sometimes than the message. So the credibility of the messenger is important. In modern day marketing language, we call it is branding. Right? Create that aura around myself. Like I am the messenger. I am the messenger of UPSC in Ashok Nagar. Whatever I say will happen. Or create that aura. Same thing. I cleared UPSC 7 times. I cleared this thing. So create an aura around myself. Create that credibility aspect. Done. Then whatever shit I say, you will believe. You got my point? That is one way of creating that messenger aura. As a civil servant, this will really work for you. You understand my point? That credibility, that trust you have to create among people. So yes, messenger always has an advantage. Then commitments. Okay. This is one very good way of bringing social change among people. They do this, right? Pledge. Commitment is taking pledge. In government offices, we used to take corruption pledge. Next day only this guy will do something nasty in the office. We just laugh at all these things. Again, that's different. In government offices, it's a different scenario. But maybe with people, you encourage them to commit publicly that I'll not do this action, I'll do this action. That's one meaningful way of persuading people to change. Then priming subconsciously means leaving this subconscious cues everywhere. Priming is like, what do you call this? Is attention is directly hitting upon the people whom you want to target. Priming is in a subconscious way. So how they do this in a subconscious way? Very simple. Teachers, club soda. Black label, CDs. Black label is not CDs, we all know. Teachers is not club soda, we all know. Royal Stag, purified drinking water. Why is Royal Stag is not a purified drinking water? Teachers is not whatever. So the point, these are all subconscious cues. We call that surrogate advertisements also, right? Subconsciously setting these cues. So it will be, so tomorrow when you go to shop to buy, this subconscious cue will enable or propel you to act towards certain action which somebody intends us to act upon. So practice this framework, because every year at least one question, 10 marker or sometimes case study, as a moral agent you are expected to bring this change. Sometimes they may ask, as somebody in the office, how do you bring a change in the culture of the office? Or how do you bring a change in the behavior of your friend? How do you bring a change in the behavior of the citizens around you? So every time we need not randomly generate points. Okay, if you have these kind of framework, then it's easy for you. Then your answer should ideally flow from these kind of frameworks. It's another good framework. Got my point? And a most commonly repeated asked question. It will be helpful at many places. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Apart from this, one more thing that can substantially enhance the quality of your case study is quotations. Okay, sometimes you're really not sure of what introduction to write, or you're really not sure of how to conclude. Quotation will come to your rescue. Or if you have an appropriate quotation that would exactly fit or at least near fit the demand of the case study, that would really work. Okay, so my sincere suggestion, especially for those who are writing mains this year, you should at least have 200 to 250 quotations on your fingertips. When I am saying this, it's not that you have to write all of them in a book and go and read it every day. It's not practical or possible. Just make an audio file. Audio file. 200 to 250 quotations audio file will be less than 20 minutes. Okay. It will take 20 minutes to 30. You listen to it multiple times as you're having your lunch, having your dinner, or as you're walking, you're doing workouts. Listen to this, then it will sit in your recent memory. Then in examination hall, you can just regurgitate on the paper and you can come out. But if you really understand the intent of this, as I always suggest, daily practice 2 essays as frameworks. 2 essay frameworks you practice on 2 quotations. You have 70 days. So 140 quotations you are learning there itself. Apart from that, but quotations also not random quotations, like sometimes some random quotations also works, like even on auto they write అందరూ బాగుండాలి అందులో నేను ఉండాలి. That's a very good quotation. I love that quotation. You can take such things also, nothing wrong. If you open Yojana, you see, let noble thoughts come to us from all direction. You can pick good quotations from any sources, nobody is stopping you. But my suggestion, make it little more organized. We all know there will be one case study on or one question on ethics in international relations. So quotations of some, what do you call somebody on power, maybe Thrasymachus or maybe like that, or some like sometimes there will be quotations on purpose of life, something like that. So for that, for those kind of questions, probably Aurelius or Seneca, like that. Be selective, and or maybe on democracy, couple of case studies, maybe on childhood, couple of case studies, on peace, couple of quotations. So do it topic wise, on resilience, on courage, on criticism, on feedback. These are the most common things. Okay, so if you are prepared with all these kind of quotations, then it will definitely help you in further enhancing the quality of your answer. Okay, I'll just give one very good quotation, especially in our case study. There is a lot of scope for this. No man is, write down, no man is justified in. No man is justified in. No man is justified in doing evil. No man is justified in doing evil on the ground of expedience. No man is justified in doing evil on the ground of expedience. Okay, I'll give 2 minutes time for you all. Think about it. I don't want you to interpret this, but just tell me in what kind of scenarios or in what type of topics you can use this case study. You want me to repeat? No man is justified in doing evil on the ground of expedience. EXPEDIENC, not experience. Theodore Roosevelt gave this. Don't tell, sir, I never heard the word experience. That's too much English for me. Mm. What is experience? Taking action హడావిడిగా కంగారుగా in a quicker way. So tell me now, just in what type of scenarios or you can use this case study? Development versus environment. See, often there is a tendency, what do you call, just do it because it's your responsibility to do, or just do it because you have to do it as a deadline, you have to do it as a target, or you are assigned to do it. You got my point? Huh. Media trails, or sometimes, there is a demand for instant justice. Let's take in Disha justice. Disha case, 5 perpetrators were killed. What if even one among them is actually not involved in that? Then definitely it's an injustice to that particular guy. You understood my point? So it is like this. No man is justified in doing evil. You may be someone in the position of authority, and you may be having legitimate power to act upon it. Still, that should not be the reason for you to commit any wrong. So doing something wrong cannot become morally acceptable merely because it is useful, merely because it is convenient, merely because it is urgent or administrative necessity, like you guys have already mentioned. So in many cases, this happens, this experience. Look, some quote given by someone 70 years ago is relevant even today. So I would suggest you to gather as many quotations like this as possible. Write them all at one place. Very recently, I came across another good case study, another good quotation by Barack Obama on democracy. I thought I'll discuss with you. I'll just mention this. Hardest thing in democracy is to deal with something now where the payoff is long term and the price of inaction is decades away. Hardest thing in democracy is to deal with something now. Hardest thing in democracy is to deal with something now where the payoff is long term and the price of inaction is decades away. Where the payoff is long term and the price of inaction is decades away. And the price of inaction is decades away. And the price of inaction is decades away. So what he's trying to say? Anyone quickly? Hmm? Yes, please. What it could be? Hardest thing in democracy is to deal with something now whose payoff is in the long term, but whose price of inaction is sorry, whose price of inaction is in decades away. What does it mean? In Tarun, what does it mean? What it means? So is he talking bad about democracy? Limitation, very good. Limitations of democracy. What he's trying to say is you have to deal with these things in democracy. See, in democracy, what is the most difficult thing in democracy is certain things you have to act on them now. If you don't act on them now, take sustainable development. You have to act on climate change now. If you don't act on it now, the impact will be much later. But it is very difficult to convince the present generation. Present generation will say, first take care of our poverty, take care of our unemployment, take care of our other issues. So electoral compulsions often propel, or often compel politicians to take actions which gives them immediate results or which satisfies the needs and aspirations of the present generation. But don't you think in a democracy, for sustainable development, we also have to think about intergenerational equity? We also have to think about sustainability. Sustainability and intergenerational equity would be possible only when we can think beyond the electoral compulsions of the present day and learn to act in a longer term, learn to act with a longer term vision. But the problem is, democracy and democratic processes are cumbersome or obstructive and often stop or obstruct us from taking a necessary action. That is what he means. Okay, so prepare for these kind of quotations, take some time for them, because let's say this comes as an essay. Let's say if this is an essay, then if you are, I know some of you, most of you could not interpret the real intent of it. Then writing an essay on this for 9 to 10 pages, it's not an easy thing, right? I'm not trying to scare you, but you need to do a lot of practice. Okay, if that has to click for you spontaneously, even some of you did not find it easy to interpret otherwise simple quotation like no evil is justified in the name of expedience. Not many of you could actually understand its relevance, isn't it? So do practice a lot for quotations. It will help you in your essays, help you in your reflective topics, help you in writing a much better case study when you have a quotation which fit the what do you call a particular scenario in a case study. Next important thing I want you to practice for your case study to further enhance the quality of your case study is practice some what do you call stories and fables, and write them as you are writing your case study or as you are writing your answer. Of course, all these things are only add-ons. Okay. Fundamentally, the framework which we discussed is most important. That generating options, identifying ethical issues, identifying ethical dilemmas, arriving at a decision using algorithmic frameworks. Those are the most important ones. Are the options you generate for them giving ethical justification. These are the ones which get you basic scores. Additional 1 marks, 2 marks you will get by quotations, stories. What type of stories? There are many stories, right? Like, what do you learn by this very popular story? Rabbit and tortoise. You know, right from your childhood, you would have heard all these stories. Slow and steady wins the race. Is that not applicable for a civil servant? Yes, like this, right from your childhood, some of you must be fans of Panchatantra tales or Chandamama. I don't know, that's your generation or our generation. I don't know what your generation actually read, what you read, but whatever the tales, micro tales, especially you need not write the whole tale, okay? This is not a story writing, it's an essay writing. Sorry, it's an ethics, right? But some tales are very popular and their intent is quite clear. That fox and grapes, Aesop's fable of fox and grapes. Fox convinces itself, isn't it? By reasoning, Andani Draksha what I could not get reached to is. So that's an fallacy, psychological fallacy, isn't it? It's a reasoning. If you could not achieve something, blaming what you want to achieve is a kind of moral reasoning we give to ourselves. So like this in your administrative actions also there will be many biases. Hanlon's razor, like this there are some things which are written well in your textbooks. The problem is most of you don't read textbooks well. So identify these biases: cognitive bias, psychological, recency bias, retentive bias. So this jargon of 10 to 15 psychology terms, and these fables and their core messaging will further enhance the quality of your case studies and also can enhance the quality of your other theoretical questions also. This work, don't put so much effort on it, but yes, put some effort on it. It will definitely enhance the marks. This will help you in your essay also, isn't it? This work which you are doing for ethics case study will help you in your essay also. Okay. Then this is another very, very important thing. Jargon. Okay. Of late, having evaluated, I can say, hundreds of copies of ethics, the quality of the jargon is getting declined year on year. Same transparency, accountability, you know, some are writing even liberty, equality, justice, fraternity, that is polity. This is ethics. Okay. Yeah. So try to have a good repertoire, have a big list of ethical jargon. It comes only with practice. Okay. Just write down fast, like next 5 minutes. There are big five personality traits for everyone. Big five personality traits. And as part of that big five personality traits, first trait is conscientiousness. Let me spell it right for you. Conscientiousness. Conscientiousness. So what all comes under this conscientiousness? Quickly write down. Dependability. Dependability. Grit. Grit. Grit means determination. Then organization. Persistence. What is persistence? Uh, Persistence means to hold on to something amidst adversity. Even if there is adversity, you should hold on to something. That is called as to persist. Persistence. Then planning, punctuality, responsibility. Okay. For a civil servant, all these traits are very, very important. All these traits of conscientiousness, we call big five personality traits. Just learn these things. Okay. Dependability. Grit is determination. Organizing capabilities, persistence, planning, punctuality, taking responsibility. Then agreeableness is another big trait. Agreeableness. For a civil servant, agreeableness is very important. So what is this agreeableness? Collaboration. Okay. This is one very common mistake students write while doing case studies. While writing at the end, I will do this, I will do that. Never write, I will do this, I will do that. It's not a heroic action. You got my point? We are as a team. You understand my point? As a moral agent, you should not do anything in a heroic way. As a moral agent, you should show that you are a team player. As a moral agent, you should show that you are good at collaborating. You are good at cooperating with others. You have the spirit of esprit de corps. You got my point? Yes. Write down. Agreeableness is collaboration, collegiality, 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 generosity, generosity, honesty, integrity, kindness, trustworthiness, kindness, trustworthiness. Don't you think these are all very, very important traits for a civil servant? Agreeableness, which means collaboration, collegiality, generosity, honesty, integrity, kindness, trustworthy. What is collegiality? Again, learning to work in a in a way, it's a team way. Like, huh. Then, what is next? Next important personality trait is emotional stability. Emotional stability. Emotional stability. So emotional stability, I don't want you to remember this, but just be aware, emotional stability is also called as neuroticism. Another very important personality trait a civil servant should have. So as part of this emotional stability, confidence is one emotional thing. Confidence, being confident. Two, coping with stress. Coping with stress. 3, moderation. What is moderation? Moderation means not taking extreme stance. Then resilience. Resilience. What is resilience? Very good. Ability to bounce back. Resilience. Self-esteem. Self-esteem. Self-regulation. Self-esteem. Self-regulation. Self-consciousness. Self-consciousness. These are all very, very important for a civil servant. Neuroticism. Then the next, openness to experience. So let evaluators see all these jargon as you are writing your answers. Okay, there is scope for application for each of the thing I am discussing. Openness to experience. Curiosity, such an important attribute for a civil servant. Curiosity. Creativity. Okay, sometimes they ask you to come up with solutions. Show that creativity. Curiosity, creativity, global awareness, technology awareness, global awareness, technology awareness. The case studies you are writing show that you have this technical awareness, global awareness, technical awareness, growth mindset, imagination, innovation, tolerance, imagination, innovation, tolerance, imagination, innovation, tolerance, imagination. So these are all various aspects as part of openness to experience. Then comes extraversion. Extraversion is also important for a civil servant. Extraversion for a civil servant. Extraversion also. What is extraversion? Assertiveness, isn't it? If you don't assert yourself, then it's not correct. Assertiveness. Cheerfulness also is important. Cheerfulness. You deal with public, then if you're not cheerful, cheerfulness. Communication, communication, optimism, optimism, liveliness, liveliness, creating a sense of ownership. The real leadership is creating a sense of ownership among people. Then did I mention liveliness? Liveliness, sociability, sociability. You also should be sociable. So with these personality traits, a civil servant can become a much better civil servant. Okay. So there is one more framework. This also will help you in case studies. Okay. Case studies. Framework for case studies. Till now, whatever we are talking are largely for case studies only. One thing about persuasion that also is helpful in case study. Okay. How to motivate employees in an organization is a common thing, or how to motivate anyone. Persuading is different, motivating is different. Motivating, motivating. Okay. Here again, students tend to write very boring and unstructured way of answers. Okay. So just write down. What is buck passing attitude? Buck passing attitude. It's blaming others is okay. Buck passing attitude is not disowning responsibility. Means you're not accountable for your actions. Means you are neither answerable nor you are expecting to be enforced for your mistake. That attitude is called as buck passing attitude. It's a very common thing in civil services. Anyways, coming back, how to motivate employees in an organization. Write down. Give chance to learn new skills. Give chance to learn new skills. Then recognize, reward, and promote based on performance. Recognize, reward and promote based on performance. and establish a strong appraisal system. Strong foolproof appraisal system. That's very basic. Then provide ownership in their work. Very important. Provide ownership. That's the nature of a true leader. Provide ownership in their work. Then involve employees in decisions. Involve employees in decisions. Involve employees in decisions. Align organizational vision with personal vision of the employees. Align organizational vision with the personal vision or personal ambition of the employees. Encourage new ideas, new initiatives. Encourage new ideas and new initiatives. Encourage new ideas, new initiatives. Give positive, constructive, specific feedback. Give positive, constructive, specific feedback. All these are very much relevant to civil services. Positive, constructive, specific feedback. So largely these things, you can also take time to meet and listen to staff. As a senior civil servant, you can also do this. Take time to meet and listen to them. It gives a vent to them. Sometimes, they need that vent. Okay, so be ready with this framework. Like in exam, it might be of help to you. One more thing to enhance the quality of your answers. Please work on it. It will not take much time. Mythological characters. These days, they're appreciating, your ability to write about mythological characters. Okay, it could be traits of Karna, it could be traits of Bhima, or it could be traits of what do you call Krishna, Arjuna, Rama, whatnot, Kumbhakarna, anything. So the point I'm trying to say, make a list of some mythological characters, prepare specifically, okay, and also prepare the particular instance where they got this opportunity to display this particular trait. Let's say King Bali. King Bali, generosity. So he's in like that. Karna, symbol of generosity. Dharmaraja, symbol of what do you call righteousness. So like that, identify everyone and try to identify their specific trait. Make at least 10 to 12, or Lakshmana, symbol of sacrifice, or Rama, also a symbol of, and Shravana. Whenever you write any case studies or whenever any question on treating senior citizens and treating parents, Shravana is, he carries his parents, right? Blind parents. So like that, there are plenty of mythological characters, and we have a lot to learn from these mythological characters. Okay, so you can also quote from Bible if you know any biblical characters. If you any that need not be confined to one religion, anything biblical characters, or maybe from Islamic tenets also, if there are anything you can quote. Jainism, Buddhism, from anywhere. Try to show your secular side. Don't try to again show off your knowledge of Indian, what do you call, mythological literature and all. Have maintain a balance, but yes, that will definitely enhance your scores. Okay, yes. Then one more thing. So please do this research. Often students are struggling to write examples. We often encourage you to write example when you write something to substantiate that argument. We encourage you to write examples. Problem is, you think what you are reading as part of your newspapers and you are gathering them as case studies, you assume that you could recall them in the exam scenario and you could write them, but often it's not that simple. So my point is simple. You already know PYQ themes are some most repeated topics. So, and you know a lot of ethical jargon also. and you know lots of ethics case studies also. Today's class only we have identified 8 to 10. So prepare for specific examples. Best source, Better India, betterindia.org, logicalindian.org. Search from those sites and identify some good case studies. Okay, at least 50 good case studies you should have at your disposal. 50 good case studies, examples or case studies. If you have, you can readily write them. Let's say ex civil servant displaying courage, ex civil servant displaying immediately understanding the conflict of interest and doing recusal, some civil servant showing spontaneity, innovation, creativity in their action, some civil servant, what do you call, acting courageously, some civil servant like this, displayed resilience, disaster, or let's say in the personal life something might have happened, immediately they came back to work and started working. So here you can also quote some politicians also. Okay, politician means don't directly write Narendra Modi like that, Rahul Gandhi. Write not Amit Shah, Rahul Gandhi. Some statesmen like Lal Bahadur Shastri, those who do not have any controversies. Such people, and especially these examples also play a very important role. My sincere suggestion: write down all these examples at one place. Only when you write all of them at one place, you can easily replicate them in your answers. If you are not doing this, yes, it's going to cost you dear. Okay, so that's it. These are the things I want to discuss in today's session. Just one or two PYQs before I conclude. Anything you want me to take, any reflective topics? One more thing I want to teach, but I'm not sure without a question I can teach. This is a very common mistake students commit, is ignoring mediating virtues as they are writing answers. Because they ignore this mediating virtues they write as they are writing an answer, they often end up not using adequate ethical jargon. So what is this mediating virtue? Try to listen. Let's say you put a heading, something like, if this civil servant do this for theory questions, this will be the outcome. There is a tendency to write this action will produce this outcome, and there they will mention that ethical outcome. It could be, it will enhance transparency, it will enhance accountability, it will show integrity, but that's very superficial way of analyzing. So what I am trying to suggest, always write mediating virtues, and through mediating virtues only the final ethical outcome is possible. So you should show it that way. So what I mean, let's say the ultimate outcome that is supposed to be achieved, let's say for instance, is transparency. So, and this civil servant is doing some action, and in this action what he might be trying to do, he is achieving this transparency by ensuring that there is openness, or there is an element of receptivity to feedback. So by doing these things, he has achieved transparency. This is a bit difficult to teach directly. If I have a question, I would have explained it well, but still, for those who write answers, by this time they would have understood. The tendency of the students is to write, I did this action and I attained this ethical outcome. That will not fetch you marks. Always write some mediating virtues, and only through mediating virtues you tell that we have achieved that final ethical outcome. So this also gives you an opportunity to write ethical jargon in more analytical depth. Otherwise answers will sound very, very shallow, and they convey that this guy doesn't have adequate analytical depth. Never it happens like X would lead to Y. No, X, because of X, A, B, C will happen, and A, B, C is leading to the final outcome. Okay, all these things you will be in a position to understand better only if you write answers regularly, because I know some of the things I am telling For some of you, it could be like you may not be in a position to connect. That's the problem with Hyderabad here. Students don't write answers much. That's why, um, these things, only when you are rigorously practicing, when you face this, and when it is pointed out, then you will immediately pick, oh, this is such an important thing I've been ignoring all these days. I have to work on it for my marks to improve. But you have never even written an answer. What I saying here will sound like, Greek, Latin, and doesn't make sense also, frankly saying, practically saying. So start writing answers. So as I said, this is the last session of this, what you call UPSC War Room Ethics. And Phoenix program is about to commence on 8th. Those who are writing mains can enroll to this program. We will have lot more sessions like this as part of the Phoenix. And those who are not sure of clearing prelims, you can be part of Phoenix for now. For any reason, if it happens positively, perfectly fine. Even if it doesn't happen, we have another initiative called as UPSC Shikshana. UPSC Shikshana is a long-term program, wherein the program will go up till Sankranti, January 2nd week. Program design will be very, very simple, not at all complex. You will practice ethics daily almost, and GS 1, 2, 3 will be spread for whole of these months. You will write good many sectional tests, all this stuff will be there. That is UPSC Shikshana. And yes, of course, for Phoenix people, as I promised previously also, at least 3 to 5, first 3 papers, or if possible 5 papers, I myself will evaluate first hand. And not first hand, I mean after first evaluation, second layer evaluation, I'll definitely sit with you. So especially if you're in Hyderabad, I'm saying it again, strictly avoid Delhi based institutes, and I'm saying it open, come to Hyderabad institutes, trust Hyderabad institutes. Here we are willing to help you, sit with you, help you evaluate the copies, and we can confidently say our content is in no way lesser than any of those so-called Delhi based institutes. In fact, we can deliver better provided students trust and come to us. Yes, so thank you, thanks for this.